Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something, brother. The cream, Mean Gene. The cream rises to the top, brother. Oh, yeah.
So good. That's so much better than your William Shatner.
Wait, I thought I was the Macho Man, though.
Oh, yeah. I'm Ric Flair. Woo! Limousine riding, jet flying, wheeling, dealing, chick stealing, son of a gun. Woo! Sights and sounds and edges found, you will now get down with the Underground. Posted up on the OTC Fantasy YouTube channel and your favorite audio platforms. Dynasty Underground is back in your life. I am Trav. I'm hosting and West Coastin'. And the usual suspects are with me. We've got the wise man, Jax Falcone. How you doing, big dog? We got a little preseason in the books, fella.
Absolutely. I didn't watch a minute. Thank you. No,
Neither did I. Barely watched any as well. I watched a little bit. I got some plans to watch some stuff back. I know Joe has seen some stuff and he's kind of chomping to talk about it. Joe Quavius Kuvatakis, how are you this evening, brother?
I'm better than I was this morning. I woke up to just the horrendous news that a player that I had across 29% of my Dynasty portfolio, a second-year player who our model loved and that was on the verge of a second-year breakout, tore his ACL. Pour one out for Jayden Higgins. It's like one of the worst things that could happen to my bags. But on more than that, I'm actually upset for obviously for him. That goes without saying, but like also for our model because it's like this dude seemed like it was going to be a huge hit. I still think that's obviously possible, but I'm just like really this one hurts. This one hurts more than most because of just the investment we've had in him and how much we've been rooting for him and how he was just like on the cusp. And now it's just the gratification is going to be delayed and or stymied for who knows how long.
The irony there, Joe, is that the player that might reap the most reward or benefit from this injury is another, model darling who also had it stripped away, and that's Tank Dell.
Are you talking? Oh, okay. I thought you were going to go for number 13. Number 13.
No, Tank Dell. Tank Dell was like, I mean, when we unearthed Tank Dell, it was like, wow. Because here's what happened. That we actually ran the model after Tank Dell had been drafted. And we kind of did this thing. And we're like, dude, Tank Dell pops in this thing. We're like, that's crazy. We love Tank Dell. And then he was awesome. And then he was destroyed. And it was really kind of like, oh, so he was another one that was kind of be like, look, this thing actually can show you what a good player looks like. And so injuries suck. I famously have said a million times, I hate injuries, even to, even in competition, like, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, I was a Tom Brady guy. I don't want to see Peyton Manning get hurt. I wanted to beat him straight up, like I hate injuries on all counts. So even your most hated players, I do not want to see them get hurt. I hate that Jayden Higgins is hurt. It's just brutal. It's just got to be really, really tough for those guys to go through this, miss a whole season, all the money that they have on an opportunity to make and earn for their family, for their future is really put in jeopardy with this type of stuff. So it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, I mean, Higgins probably going to be fine, right? He'll be back for
Maybe.
year 3 of his career, and, he's not going to have to worry about his contract extension until that following summer after year 3. So it's like, assuming he comes back and, like, that's also going to be around the time, just trajectory-wise, where, like, Nico Collins is going to be probably
phasing out.
Yeah, phasing out and or running low on contract term. And so they're going to have some decisions to make down the road. It's just a bummer. It's a bummer for the Texans, who were probably a tough bet from a fantasy standpoint. It's tough for CJ Stroud. I'm excited that we're going to see a little bit more Jalen Knoll. And God, I hope, to your point, Tank Dell is ready to go out there and play. And we get to see what, could have been the last couple of years. But it just feels like it's been a really tough offseason, like more injury plagued than most off seasons, and maybe not like as many devastating injuries like this one is a season ender. But it's just like so many. I mean, I don't remember an off season with this many groin strains ever, right? Like even today, Warren got a groin strain. We've got Burden. We've got so many guys with these groin issues, not to mention all the hammies. It's just been like, I don't know, just throwing a wrench in all of our plans, which happens every year, but not to this extent this early, I feel like.
By the way, I'll give my 2 cents on what I think will happen behind Nico Collins. I think it's going to be muted and sort of, everybody's going to be a C-. Like, no, there's not going to be an A+ student out of the remainder. Xavier Hutchinson, Jalen Knoll, the tight end Schultz, and who did I forget? Tank Dell, right? All these guys I think are just going to kind of be, okay, 60, 70 target type guy. I don't think anybody's going to step forward and really fill the void and get to 120, 130 targets and be like meaningful in fantasy. If I had to guess, if someone did do that, who are you placing your chip bet on, Trav?
Dalton Schultz. I think Dalton Schultz probably sees like 120 targets for this team this year. I think part of it is I tweeted out after the Higgins injury, because Joe, I'll see your 29% and I will raise you 45%. Well, 16 extra percent to get up to 45, because I have some heavy Jayden Higgins bags. And so I was very, very sad to see this. All the stuff that you guys said as well. Young kid. Camp reports were so fucking good too. Like, camp reports were so good on him. Opposite Nico Collins, it seemed like it was going to be so fun. Now I think, like, it is going to be a bit of a rotation of some of these guys. And I said in my tweet today, this isn't necessarily a team that ran a bunch of 12 personnel last season. And I said that I didn't see a drastic shift. So I thought that Jalen Noel and Tank Dell were the clear beneficiaries. But when you look at the tight ends that they have there, they have Cade Stover alongside Dalton Schultz. They also brought in Foster Moreau, and they drafted Marlon Klein in the second round. I think we could see a bit more 12 personnel, and that's why I think Dalton Schultz is probably going to be the second target on this team, despite the fact that I wish it was either of those two wide receivers, because I like them both. I think if I'm looking at two wide sets, I would project Tank Dell to handle
Xavier Hutchinson, maybe.
Yeah, they remember Joe when we did the show with Jacob, and he said that they have the weirdest boner for Xavier Hutchinson, and that's probably true as well. So I think that kind of muddies it up to bring me towards that tight end group, specifically Schultz.
Yeah, I mean, Schultz, 0.22 targets per out run last year, and that was with, a relatively healthy team. Nico Collins missed his typical 4 games, and Higgins played 17, Knoll played 17. So Knoll was at 0.18 targets per route run last year as a rookie, which is not a terrible number. So I don't know. I kind of think he's the one that's in line to make the jump. There's obviously the built-in rapport with Dell, but he just started really practicing in earnest, if I'm not mistaken. Knoll's been hurt, so Hutchinson probably early in the season. But to your point, Jax, I don't think it's going to be like one guy. I do think it's going to be until someone, develops chemistry and rapport and consistency and stays healthy. Like, as a receiver, I'm much more interested in, as a pass catcher, as to say, I'm much more interested in seeing Knoll ascend and or Dell return to form. But in the meantime, old reliable is Schultz, who, I still have a hard time starting that dude in Dynasty, but he probably is going to fill the big chunk of the void early on.
I would just say the guy who we've seen do it before is Tank Dell, right? He's actually done it before, where he's been a meaningful start, a startable asset in fantasy. We've seen that. Tank Dell's done it. None of the other guys really. I mean, Schultz to some degree, but not to the degree that Tank Dell was. So it'll be interesting to see. But my bet is on no one, and I think that just means maybe increase for Nico Collins and David Montgomery slightly, but I don't know. That's nothing to get excited.
Yeah, totally. I think the only thing in that vein that Noel could have over Tank Dell is that Noel was brought in by this regime, right? Like this offensive coaching staff. I think talent probably wins out, and I think this just means that both those guys are probably projected to get some more snaps. So if one of them shines through, then one of them shines through. I think they're both fairly cheap for us to attach to. We're going to look at a couple signings here, boys, because there was a couple earlier this week. we had Keenan Allen signing in Indianapolis. And we've talked about this, boys. And like, I'm not going to say that we've been on like the assumption that this was going to happen. But the tea leaves have been telling us some things for quite a few weeks here. And so, Joe, why don't you talk about kind of your assessment of this? I think the biggest thing we're thinking of is how it impacts Josh Downs. But why don't you talk about kind of the impact on Downs and what you think Keenan means for this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it mostly impacts Downs, but to a certain extent, it impacts Tyler Warren as well. They obviously needed more depth at this position. The funny thing is, like, Keenan Allen is nothing like what Alec Pierce brought to the table. So,
Right.
I know they've got Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, and that guy seems like the one that's most likely to fill that Alec Pierce void. Which means, unless they have Downs doing it, which is not, I think he can do that a little bit, but that's not the ideal way that you use him. Regardless, I think Downs gets hurt the most, to your point, Trav. We just saw this unfold last year with Lad McConkey coming off a fantastic rookie season, getting absolutely nuked by Keenan Allen.
And the year before with Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. He just walked, he walked back onto the Chargers last year and drew, 26% targets per route run, and still a respectable, 1.72 yards per route run. So it's not like he's washed, and he is just very good at being a quarterback's best friend and getting open. And I think Danny Dimes is going to take that often. So, yeah, it's a bummer for Downs. He's a guy we've been high on for a long time, hoping for his opportunity. And now this is, one of the worst things that could happen to him in terms of the opportunity that was before him and what we can project his role to be moving forward. So, in the startup that we're in right now, when it was time to draft Downs, I was reluctant, and I didn't ultimately end up pulling the trigger because I was worried that something like this is going to happen. But this is kind of like a lesson as well, right? Downs is 170 pounds. We just same thing with Tank Dell, who we love, but like bets on these guys typically ends up being a bad bet, even when they beat the odds 1 year or maybe a couple of times. Like over time, injury is going to get to them. And if it doesn't, like the team is still going to have those same doubts that we have as players, whether they're fair or not. They're going to bring somebody else in and try not to put too much on the little guy's plate. That's really just how this unfortunately works. And it's, I see you guys laughing, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Who's the little fella in Cleveland?
It just sounded mean. Yeah.
Well said, though.
It's true, though. It's true. Yeah. No, it's fine. Just the little guy. Just the little
guy. NFL. Hey, newsflash. The NFL is full of meatheads that, and a good chunk of them don't care about stats. And even if they do, they're still meatheads.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think that's well put there. I think, I still might be a little bit hopeful because we have heard things like Josh Downs has been used more downfield in training camp, that maybe they have some ways that they can work him in when they don't have three wide receivers on the field. Like maybe, like what if Keenan Allen occupies that X, right? And maybe he's not necessarily a priority target on the play, but they look to prioritize Downs and Tyler Warren with Keenan occupying that X. I don't know. This might just be some hopium. Might be some hopium happening here, fella.
If you want to get the safeties to bite and go deep, I say do it with a guy that ran a 4.9 when he was in his physical prime. God knows what Keenan Allen runs now. God knows what he runs.
Oh yeah, now. It's probably bad. And I mean, like your speed.
I'm not buying that for 1 second.
Damn it, Joe. Your speed quotient just isn't the X wide receiver, right? That's all I'm saying. But yeah, it's probably unlikely. It's probably
where is it? Where is it? I think they're doing it.
I think Josh Downs can be some of the speed quotient.
Man. I think, it's going to be Downs and it's going to be Westbrook-Ikhine, which means, Keenan Allen's the guy over the middle benefiting off of the PPR scam.
Yeah. But if they're playing less 3 wide sets because they have no wide receivers, then that's not good for Downs getting on the field with like Keenan Allen sitting in 2 wide receiver sets. I don't know.
What I would say is I just don't think Keenan Allen's going to play a full snap share. I would just say that.
Maybe.
I mean, he ran 453 routes last year
You got to bet against it at some point. At what age are you going to stop betting for that? I mean,
when he stops drawing when he stops drawing a 25% plus target per route run share.
I have no
would say
strong opinion here. Yeah.
The depth chart needs him to run that many routes kind of thing,
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. It'll be an
right,
interesting run out. Yeah. Okay, last signing. And then I didn't even intro the topics. We're actually going to talk about some elite offenses and how we can attach to some of these players. But first, we're going to talk about the last signing was Najee Harris to the New York Giants, boys. A little bit of maybe a pest for your guys' Cam Skattebo bags. Are you guys acknowledging this at all? I'm not necessarily acknowledging it for Dynasty. I think there could be a little bit of a buy low opportunity on Scats, but I think it's definitely going to impact his redraft standing.
I disagree. Okay. I don't think that Najee Harris was brought in to be a problem for Cam Skattebo. I do think, though, the fact that Tyrone Tracy put Jackson Dart in the blue tent in a preseason game on a pretty easy blitz pickup, a very, very standard issue pass blocking assignment, and he whiffed terribly and looked like a mental mistake because he did go back and be like, oh, shit, tried to sort of go get the guy. I would say that's probably the guy that should be worried about Najee Harris. Cam Skattebo is
Tracy's banged up too. Tracy's hurt too.
Oh, he's banged up all right. And look, there's nothing else behind Cam Skattebo that scares Najee Harris, but Najee Harris can scare all the other players on that team, meaning if he's healthy, which is also another big if, this is one of those things that I'm not saying this is going to happen, but you've seen this happen before. They signed Najee Harris 3 weeks later, he's released or whatever, right? It's like, he's no good. It's possible that he's just not good. He was never explosive to begin with. If any of that's been sapped, could be a problem for him. So I don't think that
he had a season where he led the league in explosive run rate at a certain threshold. But that's just kind of a cheeky one.
I love the thresholds.
It's just a cheeky one.
Look, he's great. I've been a Najee defender who's like, I think I said something at one point, who was the only player to have 1,000 yards in the 5 straight seasons. It was a Najee Harris, trivia answer. And so, yeah, he's formidable, but I don't think he takes away. Look, I said this before, every backfield has more than one running back in it. It's where do you slot in? Scats is still number one.
Yeah, I would just add, in that preseason game, Skattebo looked great. And Najee, I couldn't agree with you more. He's just basically destroying Tracy's opportunity to share everything, right? Tracy did it himself, right? It was literally days after he smoked just a very standard block, to Jax's point. They go and add a vet who absolutely understands how to handle passing down work and quarterback protections and whatnot. I will just add, you guys may have seen it. There was just some clip floating around on Twitter today of Najee on his first day of practice, just running a drill. And I usually don't put any stock in this stuff, but it's, I think, the fastest I've seen his feet move ever. Since
I thought it looked pretty decent. I thought you were going to shit on it, and I was going to be like, "Damn, I thought he looked okay."
No. It was this is better than rookie year Najee Harris, right? So, and I would say I'm probably as excited, if not the most excited I've been about drafting or getting my hands on Najee Harris since his rookie year. This is an interesting opportunity because I do think he's, basically got a stranglehold on the Tracy role, which, probably not all that valuable in and of itself. But if something were to happen to Skattebo,
that's right.
I don't think they are looking for a guy that's going to be explosive, because that's not even really Skattebo's game, right? He gets chunk gains, but he does it by being, a dude that runs in
a ramrod. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And Najee can play that role too, right? So
Sakar Ramrod.
Yeah, exactly. So he's kind of a two-way go from that standpoint, and very usable and a pro. And I'm actually really excited about it because now there's no expectations on Najee Harris. Everybody's buried him. Everybody's given up on him. And now it's okay, now we just get to enjoy Najee Harris without the burden of any sort of expectations.
Kind of like the Kareem Hunt resurgence.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
He's terrible and slow, but he's still really useful, and
Yeah.
coaches are going to dig him, and they're more than happy to put him in the lineup in any situation and know he's got it.
That's a great, great comparison. I love it.
I think he's
Hey,
gonna
Trev.
get. I think he's gonna get some work this year. I think he's gonna
Yeah,
get
me
some
too.
work
Boy.
with a healthy Skattebo. Not like I'm targeting Najee Harris, but I just think that having another guy who can take some of that work, they're gonna give some of that work to Najee Harris for sure.
Well, Skattebo's going to come off the field with, dizziness. You know what I mean? Like, just general fucking whoopsie
Injure
daisy.
himself on a
Like,
backflip,
oh,
there's a bunch
yeah,
of
dude.
things.
He's out there, man. So, yeah, there's going to be some snaps available for sure. I mean, Scats is a truly unique player in this league.
Is
So,
he ever? Is
yep.
I say this all the time, but it pains me to say I'm excited to see that Giants offense out there this season for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of good offenses, boys, we got to get into it
Do it.
because we've already gone long and we only talked about 3 little tidbits of news, and that's just the Dynasty.
Welcome to the underground.
Yep. Yes, sir. So some elite offenses, and we're going to talk about some of the assets within, how we might acquire them, whether we're acquiring them, maybe we're not trying to acquire them, boys. And I've just picked some offenses that have been kind of the elite offenses in the landscape over the last couple of seasons. Joe and I were actually talking before you got here, Jax, about maybe next week we do something where we talk about some of the offenses that we think are going to ascend
Yeah.
into elite status. So maybe you'll see that on next week's episode. But first team we're going to talk about is the Rams. First guy
Elite.
we're going to talk about, because like his mother is basically in the room right now, Jax. First guy we're going to talk about is Puka Nacua. There's been a lot of news around Puka Nacua this offseason, most of it not great.
Yeah.
Most of it surrounded by knuckleheadedness that we don't necessarily, and it's funny because we kind of love a little knuckleheadedness in our wide receiver one, but not the variety of knuckleheadedness that he's providing. We want them to love them and to walk around wearing bling and, say they don't give a fuck about anything. We don't necessarily want them going on streams and saying shit they're not supposed to and getting in trouble for biting people, but that's what Puka Nacua has been doing.
We want them banging your wives and snorting pink drugs on a boat.
Thank you. Yes. Shout out Stephon Diggs.
Not crashing through glass doors.
Yeah.
I will just say football can't come soon enough for Puka Nacua.
Yeah.
I think he said that like last time we broached the subject, but
Perhaps.
It still cannot come soon enough.
Can football save this guy at this point? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's really good at football, and CTE is clearly real. It's terrible because the thing about Puka that was so cool the whole time was how everybody who met him said he's such a great person. So the off-field stuff is kind of hurts my sensibilities a little bit because I don't believe in many players on a personal level. You try not to get too attached. They're not helping me pay my mortgage.
Aww.
Well, a little bit. But you know what I mean. They're not. That's not. They don't give a shit. They're whatever they are. And the Tyreek Hills and the Joe Mixon punching a girl, starching her directly into the face like as hard as you could. Like you can't get that stuff out of your head, but yet you still have to draft them. It's like, and we have to talk about them, and we're not going to be, the moral police. But Puka was supposed to be different. He was supposed to be this guy that was like, a bit of an ambassador, a bit of a, we could all believe in him. Sort of looked different than a lot of the wide receivers. I mean, he just didn't feel like everybody else, so I don't know. And sure enough, he's sure not like everybody else. He's a little bit different. So, but,
you sound like a disappointed mother when you're speaking
right?
through that. Yeah.
True. It is a little bit.
He was supposed to be better, Joe.
There's some of that there for sure, but homeboy can play football. And I did take Malik Neighbors over Puka Nacua in a startup we just recently did. And it made Joe do the same in a sort of startup that we're doing, huh?
Well, I mean, he's kind of been he's been sort of like a stay away for me for the entirety of the offseason since, kind of, I don't know. I feel like we did a show in February or March and I brought up the concerning signs then, right? I feel like I'm the guru of bad vibes on players amongst
We
this.
are.
Like I kind of have a sixth sense for this, right? And I started sensing it then, and then like he has done just nothing to repair his image. Like he went to rehab and was like, okay, this is good, I guess. And then it's like, okay, you smashed through a glass door at a party, like what were you wasted? Were you on drugs? Like, I'm not buying the fact that he just like meat headed his way through a glass door. Like he had to be on something. I'm not buying that. So it's like,
who hasn't crashed through a glass door at a party before?
Yeah. So,
Come on.
so
Seriously, this is
I mean,
nothing
like,
burger.
I don't know. I'm not buying any of it. I think the rehab thing was like a completely PR thing to save him from the bite. And I think there's tons of concerning signs. Like, but he's different, right? He is different. He is a different kind of player. Absolute meathead. There is no fourth year wide receiver going into year 4 at his stature in terms of playing that hasn't gotten a contract extension, right? He should have already had that worked out. He should already be the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. The Rams have not done that yet, right? And I'm sure they're saying, hey, like, can you chill a little bit? And he has not at all. So if the Rams are spooked, I'm certainly spooked. He's probably already cost himself a lot of money, and I'm sure there are going to be clauses in whatever this contract ends up being that cost him a lot more money. It's weird that he's not holding in or holding out. Like, so that kind of does make him different. And I think he is built different and all about the team and all about, playing ball. But dude, this guy's got some screws loose. And, I hate to say, his play style alone is one reason for cause for concern in Dynasty.
It is. That's right.
But on top of that, just when you add in all of the other, repeat offender knucklehead stuff and the fact that the Rams haven't given him a contract yet, like, he's been a stay away for me because the Puka owner is not going to sell him to you for any sort of reasonable price, and the risk is too high for me at this point. So I don't know. I guess that's where I'm landing with him.
Well, you actually touched upon it. You touched upon it with the on-field stuff that's actually concerning. He's a young, quote unquote, young wide receiver, but in a lot of ways, I'm like, how long does this all last on the field, let alone never off-field issues occurring? Like, let's just say they go away. On the field, how many times are you watching the Rams and you're like, he's fighting for extra yards and like headbutting someone and like, you're like, dude, the greatest football player I've ever seen. But also, I think he's hurt, right? Like, so many times you're like, I think he's hurt. He's limping on the sideline, just kind of working something out. And then he's back out there. You're like, oh my God, this guy is just so cool. Yet, as a Dynasty owner, you're like, maybe you should sit some plays out, So yeah, he's a scary player in that way, which is why we love him. I mean, if you love football, you gotta love Puka. Yeah,
it's part of it for sure. Imagine him, Skattebo, and Jax and Dart all on the same team.
That could be the next destination.
Yeah, those doctors would be working overtime.
Kittle and Dobbins too. Just throw those two dudes in there.
Yeah, totally.
Dude, wild team.
You guys also didn't bring up, before we roll off Puka, you guys also didn't bring up the post Stafford window. Like, there is a post Matt Stafford.
No, we're not worried about it. We got Ty Simpson.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess he looks incredible. Yeah. But, we have thought about that as well before. So I think there are some things that could make me try to put feelers out there to see what kind of bounty I could get for Puka. Because if I could get, you could stay young at wide receiver and get a plus on like an Emeka or like even a Tate if you want. And get like, you could probably get a first on those guys for Puka just because, he is that elite guy. And a lot of people might not be tuned into the vibes or maybe not worried about the vibes, but I think I might look at that because you could get a pretty good haul to the right person.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not paying a first on top of Tate or a Puka to get to Puka, me personally, but I don't disagree with you specifically.
Yeah. I'm in a league right now where I got, on Sleeper, you can put a nickname on the player, and a lot of times people put like the price that they'll sell them for. And this team is clearly rebuilding, and they're sitting here with Puka Nacua. They said, downgrade plus a first, right?
Yeah.
And I was looking at it, and I was like, am I going to do Mekhi Lemon and a 27 first for Puka? Right? Like I'm considering it, right?
Yeah, that I would do.
Yeah, but I've had some pause, but it's a buying opportunity probably, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The red flags it's got me nervous. It's got me nervous, but I think you're right. I got to probably pull that trigger.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
would do that.
I think there might even be a better buying opportunity, right? If there is if there's more knuckleheadedness, maybe you're a little bit hesitant to buy. But
Exactly. Yeah.
if somebody's worried about the post Matt Stafford window, I think that could be a little buying opportunity as well. So
I mean,
good.
stop burying the lead and get to your boy, would you?
No, we're not even going there yet, Jax. Just wait. Just you wait.
Okay.
Just you
The
fucking.
Ty Simpson thing, I'll just say the Ty Simpson thing actually does mitigate a lot of the future risk.
little
Like
bit.
at least there's a
Little
plan in place, and he's going to
Yep.
get a chance to be in the system before he's out there playing.
Sort of a
So
Jordan Love situation, right?
yeah.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Okay, we got to talk about the running backs before we get to my guy,
Okay.
guy.
We'll do
Because
this quick.
I got a whole situation. I got a whole situation about my guy that we got to talk about. But it's interesting because when I looked at Kyren Williams and Blake Corum on otcffb.com, great website, you should go check it out. I thought when we were looking at ADPs that we would see some convergence of these guys. Obviously, not to the point where they would cross over each other, because Kyren probably is still the 1A in this, but we haven't really seen much movement. Kyren is still in that kind of mid to late 5th round. And then Blake Corum has snuck up into like that back of the 9th round, boys. So I thought that was very interesting. And then if you look at trade value, this was a good one. Kyren is the running back 16 by trade values on the site right now, but he's right beside the 2026 105. And he's actually higher than a 2027 mid first. Now, I think some of those values reset a little bit once the season starts on when we're projecting the future picks. We would have to have Keegan there for the exact formula. But Blake Corum is the running back 32, and he's behind the 2026 203. So I think to me that says that obviously Blake Corum is the clear buy on value, but do you think the community might be seeing a little bit of that to the point where they want to attach still to Corum? What do you think, Joe?
It's hard to say because I think I've been very clear on my skepticism of Kyren Williams, and he's proven me wrong, year in and year out. And I've been really high on Blake Corum before he was even drafted by the Rams. And that looked really wrong his rookie season, and pretty good last year when he was, especially in the second half of the year when he was crushing every yards over expected and efficiency metric that there was. So I think he's worked his way into, a regular role in this offense. I think the problem for both of them, and this is maybe like a system issue, is that the Rams aren't throwing to these guys at all. And they're certainly not throwing to Corum, right? They're not throwing to running backs nearly as much as they did. And the guy who is getting all the receiving work is Kyren. And Kyren, for as much as I doubt him, continues to be very effective. We don't love yards per carry, but he's still at 4.83. Corum was at 5.14 last year. And then success rate, Kyren's higher. He's at a 62.9% success rate versus Corum, who was at a 59.3% success rate, which is also very good. So they're both playing well. I think it's kind of a two backfield, and it's kind of 60-40 in favor of Kyren.
Yep.
But I do think, to your question, Trav, that probably means to me that Kyren is overvalued and Corum is undervalued, if this thesis is correct. That being said, I don't know, I have a little bit of Kyren, but it's all on teams where I have Corum, and I've got a lot of Corum without Kyren. So I've kind of placed my bets already on this, a while ago.
I'd like to say also though that I think the difference between them, what were you citing? ADP,
Trav? I kind of fucked it up, to be honest with you boys. I cited ADP, and then I was citing trade values. So Kyren's right around running back 14 to 16, like average of both, I guess. And then Corum is right in that 32 to 34 range.
Because I think we have them much closer. Like we have them at running back 25 and 27, something like that. Basically. Sorry, I was just looking at our rankings. Our consensus rankings have them at running back 25 and running back 27. So super close. when you take our consensus, I think we're all right there. I was looking at it. So, and I think that the community, I think, is kind of close as well. And I think people are a little bit shy on Kyren, but he's impossible to sell and kind of impossible to buy. I mean, although I haven't really tried to buy, I suppose, but I have him in a couple spots, and I've tried to trade off of him at like top 20 running back pricing, and nobody really feels like they want to give that to you. So I think you're kind of sort of stuck with Kyren in that way, and Blake is kind of expensive, even though, according to all this ADP stuff, he's not. So I just think that when the rubber hits the road, we've said this before, right? ADP is different than trade value. It just is. When you're in the ADP, you're like, oh, and I'm watching it right now. There's a lot of picks in our startup that people are picking players ahead of guys they would never trade that player for. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
they would just be like, of course I would give you this guy for the guy that just take him, just draft him, and I think it's a lot of guys fitting their lineup, and I already have, 2 tight ends, so I can't take another one or whatever, this type of logic.
They're built.
Yeah.
They're focused on their build.
Yeah. And, to some degree I do that as well. But I try to resist that. And I do think that that's what is happening with the Kyren Corum situation. And look, many, not just me, comped Corum to Kyren, but pre-draft, and then they draft him and they play similarly. They're probably pretty similar as players, but whether we like it or not doesn't matter. Kyren does have the upper hand until he doesn't. And, according to, if it was a straight up meritocracy, I guess Corum would have taken over last year, but that's not really how it works, right? There's a little bit of, seniority to it too. And that's where we're at. So that's why we're seeing the split kind of be there. They want to give Corum some opportunities. He was more explosive. So all that to say, I just think this is an easy one to read. It's 60-40 Kyren until someone gets hurt. You're right on the money, so it's just hard to transact on it, is all I'm saying.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. It's kind of a tough buy. Yeah, it's an interesting backfield because it feels like Rams backfield is fruitful. Yeah, okay, I'll just talk about my boy. Enough about the Rams backfield.
And then we're gonna dunk on you. You know this, right? It's coming. This is gonna hurt.
So? You think so? That's fine. That's fine. Let's get to it.
It is what it is.
Because I got a little bit of something to talk about here about Terrence Ferguson because I got fucking burned in the listener league, and this was terrible, boys, because I was on the clock.
He's de-rabbiting you right now. He's not letting you dunk on him. He's talking about
he's going to dunk on himself. Yeah, good. I like this better.
This is great. Canadians are very good at self-deprecation, so that's
I did trade away the pick that was T. Ferg.
Yeah.
I am white trash.
Little did I know there was going to be an iceberg. Because there was a bunch underneath the surface.
I am Canadian.
Yeah. Okay. So
sorry.
Anyway, we were in the 10th round of the listener league draft, right? I get a trade offer. It's actually a pretty nominal trade offer. Move back 5 spots to the 10-12 for a 27th, third and fourth, right? 5 picks. I hadn't made any trades yet. I wanted to get a little bit of action going. It was with JP Tucker. Shout out to JP Tucker. I tried to squeeze the trade and get a 27 second instead and add a 4th on top of it from my side. Wasn't happening. So he said, fuck it. Let's go with your original offer. It's all good. Terrence Ferguson is well within my purview here. I'm looking at his ADP. I went from the OTC site over to the sleeper site just to make sure I knew where he was on the list and stuff, which I know kind of means nothing, but it gives you a little bit of an idea into kind of the headspace. And I traded the pick. So I traded the pick. Next thing that happens, Terrence Ferguson is selected in the 10th round of this Dynasty startup at the 10, where I traded out of. That hurt real bad. What hurt
ironically, may I say though?
No, don't. I'm going to finish the circle because you finished it for me today. Jax decides to point out to me, which I hadn't noticed yet. I knew I had him in this league, but I didn't notice exactly what the pick was. That my pick at 10-12, I traded back from 10-07 to 10-12, My pick at 10-12 was Jayden Higgins.
Mm.
This is a 0.75 tight end premium, ladies and gentlemen. I tried to get a little bit cute thinking Terrence Ferguson was going to get back to me in the next round. I already have Colston Loveland and Oronde Gadsden, and I thought that T-Ferg would give me an incredible triumvirate of the most on-brand draft that I possibly could have had. And I didn't get that, and I got burned twice.
I didn't realize I could trade with you. I'm at the 10-10 or something, 10-9. You're at the 10-7. Yo, you're 10-7. I'm 10-10, 10-9. I'm feverishly trying to trade to the 10-5 or the 10-6 to get in front of him to take Terrence Ferguson. Because to me, it had to be Terrence Ferguson. Like, yes, he's further down on the ADP. That is true. And sometimes that's actually a Dynasty Game Theory 101 lesson of life. And I kind of shared this with Trav earlier. I'm like, you got to kind of see your board because other people have a similar board to you. Like maybe not the same, but similar where ADP is flawed. And so Terrence Ferguson to me was much higher. I know for you, he was also much higher. I think, I don't even know where you drafted him there, but I mean, I have him closer to the tight end 12 than I do to the tight end 24.
He's my 11. He's my tight end 11.
So I mean, for you, this was for sure where, now he got cute and was playing the ADP board rather than his board, which is smart, right? You don't just take Terrence Ferguson in the 5th round because you really like that's stupid. You wait till the you wait till the point where it makes sense and where you can kind of get away with it. But he squeezed a little bit too long. Anyway, I couldn't even get a trade done. Nobody answered my call, obviously. I mean, nobody likes me, but I couldn't get there. So anyway, once you were there and I'm like, oh, and then he trades and I'm like, what is he doing? And then when the pick was made, it was I was like, wow.
The problem with listener leagues, they all have our rankings.
You couldn't have seen that coming. You could not have.
I did not at all. That's why I traded it, is because I'm going to get him in the next round. I'm moving back a few picks, picking up some draft capital.
I was like, oh my God, that was pain.
Did you see my tight end spite pick when I came back around? The next one?
No.
Since I didn't get my young tight end, I was like, fuck you, Joe. You don't get to have yours. I'm taking Gunnar Helm.
The Gunnar Helm. Yeah.
I like Gunnar Helm. You guys know this, but that's partially, I was like, that. And I can't let Joe have all the fun. So I'm taking Helm.
I did get Raridon though.
You did. You traded up to get Raridon.
Made sure.
That was nice. Fuck, boys. Okay, so
I'm good at tight end in that. We're good.
and also try and dunk on me on Terrence Ferguson, buddy. Fucking try it. Please.
I mean, just to get us back on the rails and stop talking about our league. I feel like there's basically, Raridon, especially early in camp, was probably the buzziest, but I don't think there's been a tight end that's been buzzier than Ferguson, especially from like climbing the ranks. We were way ahead of this, and Trav was most ahead of this, right? We loved Terrence Ferguson last year. We were telling everybody to draft him last year. So we've been on Ferguson, and I'm actually, I guess the beat reporters have been doing us no favors in terms of his price, because they've basically been saying, look at this guy as the 3rd wide receiver. The Rams aren't doing us any favors because they didn't add any wide receivers. It seemed like they tried to upgrade on Devontae Adams and, flirted with AJ Brown a little bit, but it's still Puka, Devontae, and now, who is the Rams' 3rd wide receiver? Like
Jordan Whittington.
No, it's Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah, exactly.
Ferguson, yeah.
Exactly. So the team that kind of coined, I don't want to say coined, this may be not the right way to frame it, but, that brought 13 personnel to prominence, and the league started copping them last year. Like, there's reason to believe that they will do it more this year, and he's going to benefit from that. But I also just think in 12 personnel and in 11 personnel, he's probably going to be the tight end on the field. So they're going to use him in a variety of ways, and they need more weapons. It's a pretty fragile offense.
Agreed.
Should something happen to Puka or Devontae Adams, I think the target share could go through the roof for this guy.
Yes. And the thing about it is, this is one of those situations where I've said this about Bashal Tutin. Like, in order for him to fail, he's going to just have to be bad, right? Like, Bashal Tutin has an opportunity. If he's good, he's got an opportunity. If he's good, it's going to be unbelievable for Bashal Tutin. I would say the same thing for Terrence Ferguson. We hear the Sean McVay talking about Terrence Ferguson and how he can do everything. Like literally, he says everything, like blocking, in line,
all three wide receiver positions. He said all three wide receiver positions.
Yes,
all levels hear that of the about field, a tight end very often.
Ever, right? So like, unless that's complete bullshit and the guy is total dog shit, he goes out there and just shits the bed. Like that's the way that they're being seen by the coaching staff. If he's good and he gets that type of opportunity and capitalizes on it, that's where the ceiling comes from. That's where it's like, dude, he gets 4 or 5 scripted opportunities per game, plus all the rest. Like you're talking huge upside. And I'm not predicting, huge upside, but I am predicting the opportunity for that to be possible. And when you're drafting that late, especially he's also young, this is a clean run out for Terrence Ferguson, I think, even with the Claire pick and all these other tight ends, because of what Joe mentioned, the 13 and 12 personnel usage and the lack of a third wide receiver, all line up perfectly for Terrence Ferguson.
And they were praising his after the catch ability, which they said that they haven't really seen much of, which bears out when you look at his 18.1 yard ADOT from last year. Which obviously is going to come down with more volume. So yeah, you guys know how I feel. Yes, I did miss him on the pick. That sucked, but I just looked and I still have 36% Terrence Ferguson. So we're doing all right. We're doing all right.
Well, one thing that crossed my mind just while we're still on the topic of the Rams, and maybe I should have brought this up when we were talking about the running backs a little bit, is, they've got probably the best defensive line I've ever seen now. 2 all-timers on their defensive line. We already talked about Stafford's touchdown rate last year, way north of 7%, which just doesn't hold year to year. It's not sticky. It's very unlikely that is going to repeat. So I think there is a little bit of exposure here in over-investing in the pass catchers on this offense. I mean, because they're going to be a different team that can rely heavily on their defense and therefore could end up running the ball a whole lot more. And we didn't even talk about Jarquez Hunter, but they've got a third running back that we all liked or I still like him. Yeah. So I think that they could run the ball a lot more and it could just be a much more ball controlled offense, especially, we talked about the fragility of this offense, especially if one of these pass catchers gets hurt. Why couldn't the Rams just completely slow the game down, win with their ridiculous defense that's going to be a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks, and just run the ball down the other team's throat? So I think that that's very much in the cards.
Yeah, that's more likely than last year. They're more likely to be below 5% touchdown percentage than above 7. Or above, 7.
I mean, McVay teams typically have a very high pass rate over expected. And, so I think that should be the default assumption. But I think if things do get wobbly in terms of injuries on offense, they could just turn into a run the ball and play defense team, and they can win that way and get into the playoffs. We all know what their ultimate goal is. It's win this year, get it done one more time while Stafford's playing.
Totally. Yeah, my 10-year-old son is like, they're obviously winning the Super Bowl. They're going to go undefeated, Dad. Like he's not been around for too many NFL seasons, but the point of the matter is, like, from the outside in, like, just from the surface, you're like, this team is fucking loaded.
Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen on a defensive line.
That's crazy.
I mean, we'll see, if Aaron Donald is, 80% of old Aaron Donald, which if you've seen any of the videos or the guy with the shirt off, I think he will be. It's a problem. It's a big problem.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, boys. Next offense we're going to talk about is the Bengals. Fruitful fantasy offense over the last few years, led by Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And that's where we're going to start, is with Jamar Chase, boys. Because he's a guy now, he doesn't have like the knuckleheadedness stuff that Puka has, but I think we know that you're probably not going to be able to go out there and buy Jamar Chase. Is there obviously, if you're on like a rebuilding team, stacking that value in Jamar Chase is fine, but say you want to just kind of fill maybe not depth, because you still want to get an elite asset with Jamar Chase. Is there any situations where you would be like trading out of Jamar Chase to stack some assets and picks, knowing that you can still probably get some good playable assets out of them?
Yeah, there are definitely situations. I mean, I did this last year where in one of my leagues, it became clear, I had just one too many injuries. Things weren't coming together for me. I was like, this is kind of it for this team. It's time to do a hard reset. So what do? So I traded Jamar Chase for, I was able to get, this is a single QB league, mind you, but I got CD Lamb. So, downgrade, but, just a tier, half a tier, whatever. And I got Jackson Dart. And that was super helpful. And then it's funny, this year I turned around and traded Lamb and Gadsden to go get Neighbors. So now I'm back to the same place I was, as far as like receivers in terms of tiers. But yeah, I'm always willing to move assets. You just got to make sure that you're getting the right value, right? You can tier down and get a usable asset plus help at another position. That's one way to do it in these start 10, start 11, start 12s, where, it just meant the top end talent might not matter as much. And it just matters that you've got bodies to fill the starting lineup with like real dudes. So yes, I'm willing to do it, but that's kind of the scenario. It's got to be still a really great asset plus picks or plus help at another position. That's like meaningful.
I've got a trade that went down. I was only involved in that. I'm the commissioner of a $500 buy-in league.
Okay.
So it's a big stakes league. It is 12 by 11 or 12 by 12. It's pretty deep. 12 by 11, I believe. And these are two managers who have good teams and both want to win it. But because it's deep, that's where this trade might make some sense. But this was a blockbuster.
Okay.
Jamar Chase was traded for Nico Collins, Jalen Waddle, and Bashal Tutin. No picks.
No picks.
Just a 3-for-1.
It's rare to see no picks in a trade like that. Hey, and it's cool.
This particular trade in a shallow league is Jamar Chase all day long, because it's possible that, Tutin and
how many starters in this league?
I'm going to look right now. Look, I think it's 11. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fun trade, man. Because Jalen Waddle, I think is 12. Still being slept on.
12 by 12.
The 12 actually makes a huge difference in this one.
It does.
It makes a huge difference. From 11, I would say I probably am on the Chase side, but when you make it 12, that it's hard. It's
because
hard
if you look at like all the good teams, Godwin is a starter, Jordan Mason is a starter. You look at other teams, like there's, everybody is starting someone like, Jaden Reed's a starter. Isaiah Likely's a starter. Coker's a starter. Jerry Jeudy is in a good team's starting lineup. Like it is a very, like, you look at the starters and you're like, So when you upgrade starters from, to Bashal Tutin, Nico Collins, and Jalen Waddle, you gave something up with that Jamar Chase, but there's a math equation there that does make sense for the guy selling Jamar Chase. Mm-hmm. I think it's still light. And it's interesting, but it's not crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, you're basically going from like, assuming 144 players, right? That's what's, the top 144 starting ideally. Right. That's not how it actually works, but that's exactly like the math that you're doing, right? Yeah. You're going from like the 130s and the 140s for your last flex spot to guys that are in the top 50, top 60, right? So that's a huge, and the point per game difference from those guys is greater than the difference between Nico Collins and Jamar Chase per game, the best asset for the best asset, right? So that's really the math equation, right? That trade makes sense, especially in a start 12. In a start 11, you probably should be getting more for Chase, but in a start 12, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, in a start 9 or start 10, this trade doesn't even happen.
No.
So
no.
It's important to understand that. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a fun one to see drop in the league chat, though. Ooh. Holy shit. Yep. I like that.
And the team that got Jamar Chase could afford to get rid of depth and is loaded. So it's a tough spot. My team is good.
Who's their worst flex player now? I'm just super curious. I have to know the answer to this question. Their bottom 2 flex players. Let's do that maybe.
Hold on. I'm coming, baby.
Are you?
I'm coming. I got it. I'm doing it. All right, I'll give you the team. It's Jayden Daniels, Genty, Javante, Chase, Neighbors, Tet, Bowers, Judkins, Loveland, Bucky Irving, Josh Jacobs, Dart.
Oh, that's
pretty damn good.
Bench Herbert, Bill.
Yeah, so not much left on the bench. Oh, okay.
Lad on the bench, shit.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously other players, but Jalen Naylor, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Adonai Mitchell, whatever, fucking, But yeah, he's got, he could just barely afford to do it because Lad is probably a starter there. He didn't adjust his line.
And he can move it, like if he's going all in this year, right? And then he can move Chase next year and still, recoup a bunch of this value and go get, 3 guys to restock the coffers, right?
That's nice. That's nice.
There you go.
Okay, his counterpart in Cincinnati is T. Higgins. Somewhat of a down season last year. Still at 11 touchdowns, and we have to remember that Joe Burrow did only play in 8 games last season. And I don't know if you guys would be surprised, but T. Higgins finished as the wide receiver 16 in points per game last year, with just over 14 points per game. So I think it was a pretty good showing in what's considered a down year for a guy who is the wide receiver 2 on his team. What do you guys think about acquiring T. Higgins, being that there doesn't seem to be like a whole bunch of vocal steam on him right now? And I think he has really good upside compared to that steam.
He's got a great run out. Like, they haven't invested in a wide receiver 3. They haven't brought in a tight end of consequence. It's really, this team sort of reminds me of the Cowboys, where it's like these 2 alpha receivers that actually, Pickens and Higgins could probably have their own team, so to speak, right? They could be an alpha on another team, and that's it. And then a pretty high volume pass offense. Defenses are questionable. And then a running back that seemingly will get all of it in Chase Brown and Javante Williams. It's a little bit different. I think actually Chase Brown ahead of Javante, but you get my point. There's a doppelganger there to some degree. I don't think I don't think Higgins is quite George Pickens.
Good one. Yep.
But closer than he sometimes gets credit for, I think. And, I agree. I think T. Higgins probably is a buy at this particular point, given the fact that people are probably just tired of him, so to speak, and maybe feel like he's old. And I don't even know how old is T. Higgins, 27?
Yeah.
Right around there, yeah.
Right? So that's not that bad.
No, he's 27. He came in the year before Chase. I'm trying to think of a team like I don't think I've ever sold T. Higgins because I don't think I've ever gotten fair value for T. Higgins for what he does. And everybody that has T. Higgins knows for the last several years, come December, come fantasy playoff time, that seems to be, not only is he playing, that's when he seems to be having his biggest games of the season. Like, it's been a repeat thing. This guy's won me a lot of playoff games. So like, I don't know. I have a profound love in my heart for T. Higgins, and I don't think anybody's going to give me what he's worth. And in that offense, it's like I don't sell assets like T. Higgins because there's the market's never going to get hot enough where it's like, all right, I can't say no to this, right?
Right.
I guess that probably means you try and buy to see if someone is tired of him. But if anybody's paying attention, knows, hey, this is a valuable asset. I want to. We're just talking about in a start 12, start 11, right? It's like, what do your flex spots look like, right? It's like, I feel real good when T. Higgins is there.
Absolutely, yes.
Hell yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. He's your wide receiver 4 or 5. Oh my God, you're crushing.
Yeah. You mentioned Pickens there. This is a good one. Looking at trade values, knowing that you'd have to buy George Pickens at wide receiver 10 prices and T. Higgins at wide receiver 25 prices.
Right.
We're probably buying T. Higgins right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
For a similar profile of player. So I like that.
Yep.
I want to point out, this is important, and I'm sorry I don't have the numbers because I didn't know this conversation was going to go this way, but T. Higgins has actually been better when Jamar Chase is in the lineup. Like, his points per game don't drastically increase when Chase is out. So I don't know. I think you know what you're getting with him, and when this offense is functioning normally, like T Higgins is a major part of it, and like all you really are hoping for is he stays healthy and Burrow stays healthy. And if we get that one magical season where things work out for the Bengals, like we're just gonna have a bonanza on our hands, right?
Yes, that could be this year. Their offensive line is better, and really you just need Joe Burrow to stay healthy. That's been the key. I mean, obviously Flacco is a pretty good, backup when it comes to fantasy. You know what I mean? Like he kind of keeps things, in the air a bit.
Yeah.
But certainly would rather have Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Totally. Love me some T Higgins.
By the way, Chase Brown is teed up for
get in there. He's next.
No, he's teed up for an absolute monster season. I mean, whether or not he gets there or not, obviously we never know, right? There's always things that can happen. But I mean, there's no competition for any part of any of it. Not passing game, not goal line, not, all of it. It's just he's teed up for a huge workload on an offense with an improved offensive line and hopefully a healthy Joe Burrow. Like this couldn't be better for Chase Brown. I'm a huge proponent of buying Chase Brown in Dynasty at his current cost. Matter of fact, you guys disagree, or what are your thoughts about that? I'll play a little this or that in a quick sec, but go ahead.
I think another point, he's also in a contract year. But I kind of feel like the community has gotten a lot more confident in him, Like I think last year there was a lot of talk about those young running backs, like Chase Brown doesn't have a ton of pedigree, blah, blah, blah. But now everybody's like, oh, okay, we are set and we like this guy. So I think that's been nice to see. I have sold Chase Brown, boys. I sold him earlier in the offseason for Bashal Tootin in 27 first, I think, maybe. And so you take that deal for sure. But what are you saying, Joe, as far as what Jax laid out there?
No, I mean, it's absolutely wheels up. The only thing you're really hoping for is health here. I actually don't think it's that interesting of a conversation. It's like, Chase Brown is a top 10 and probably closer to 5 than he is 10 in terms of like the 2026 season. He's got all the work to himself. Like this team just couldn't be more consolidated between 2 wide receivers and a running back and a quarterback, right? Like, and he's been catching passes, right? He's increased the number of passes he catches every year too. He's increased his touchdown. The team's increased their trust in him. What's shocking to me is how little they've put behind him, right? They're still rolling out Samaje Perine and Taj Brooks. And I actually like Taj Brooks. And if, anything were to happen to Chase Brown, I'm kind of more interested in Taj Brooks than I am Samaje Perine. But, he's not like anything to write home about. I think we had him ranked somewhere between 15 and 20 in last year's running back class. And we barely saw him last year, right? He got 16 carries. It's kind of mind blowing to me that it's just Samaje Perine back there, but it's because this team has spent so much money on the 3 most important players on offense that they, haven't brought anybody in. But it's just kind of mind blowing. It's kind of irresponsible, the lack of depth behind Chase Brown. But from a fantasy standpoint, like this is one of the few guys that kind of has it all to himself, right? He's approaching, CMC territory here in terms of usage.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know. It's hard not to be extremely bullish on him this year, but because of the contract issue that we just described, it's hard for me to believe that they're going to go spend a bunch of money on him next year because they're already paying a couple dudes fat and have other things they need to fix in order to be a serious contender.
Fair enough.
Yeah. It's wheels up. That trade, by the way, boys, it wasn't Bashal in a first. It was Chase Brown for Terrence Ferguson and a first. And it's a 0.75 premium league. So I like that one. But
cool.
Tough to get that sometimes for sure. Okay, we're gonna.
Would you trade Quinshon Judkins to get to Chase Brown?
Yeah. No, I don't know if I would. In Dynasty, I don't think I would.
Joe?
Yes.
Me too. Yeah.
Interesting.
The trade even that you just described, Trav, I mean, it depends what your team is, right? If you're in a compete win now mode, I don't think I would have done that deal. But if you're, looking to acquire assets,
I was not at all.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, boys, we are going to rip one more offense here. And then we do have some other ones on the show sheet, but maybe we'll spill those over into the next show because we have in customary Dynasty Underground fashion. You know how it is.
Mhm.
But we're going to go to the Buffalo Bills, fellas, because this is an offense that looks like, with some pieces that they added this season, we think could maybe take one more step. And that addition that I'm talking about, Joe, is your boy DJ Moore. I know that you've been getting a little steamy on him being added to the Bills offense for Josh
Mhm.
Allen. So why don't you talk a little bit about where that steam is coming from? We do have one preseason game in the books. So Joe, DJ Mo money.
I mean, this kind of feels like when Diggs came to the Bills and we saw Allen sort of break out. Like, what did they do? They went and got him a wide receiver that's good at improvisation, like a great route runner, but can also improvise with Allen, because that's kind of when this guy is at his best, right? He can shake loose from defenders, and when it all breaks down, like, he just makes amazing things happen. And he really has been missing that sort of weapon that can get on a mind meld with him and get open downfield in different ways in different directions, and can win downfield consistently. So DJ Moore feels like just a good fit for the type of quarterback that Josh Allen is, and the thing that Josh Allen does best. I also think that's why DJ Moore was never going to work in like a Ben Johnson offense. And, we saw how their season ended last year, and it's because DJ Moore kind of, gave up on some routes or kind of did his own thing as opposed to really sticking to the plan. So I think he's a better fit for a QB like Allen and the type of offense that they're going to run. We've also seen him put up big boy seasons, and there is nobody on this team, all respect to a guy we like, Khalil Shakir, all respect to a guy we're hoping we see a lot more from, Dalton Kincaid. We certainly don't think much of Keon Coleman. Like, there's nobody on this team that is going to be ahead in the pecking order, like, than Moore. And Allen even said, I thought it was really telling after the preseason game. He said, I think it was important to establish. I'm not reading quote. I'm just going off of memory here, so I'm summarizing a little bit. But he said, I think it was important to establish the tone. I think getting him the ball early really puts pressure on the defense, and that, going to him early and often makes them adjust. And that's when we can really take advantage of a defense. So it's like part of the game plan to establish that there is a guy you need to account for. It's not just me anymore.
Right.
And that's going to change the whole dynamic. So I think we can expect him to score early and often. And he's going to be, Allen's favorite target without a doubt, barring injury. He had like this kind of scary roll up moment where I was a little bit worried it might have been a high ankle sprain. But it kind of feels like a match made in heaven for like these twilight prime years of DJ Moore. So I couldn't be more bullish. I just took him in that startup that we're doing right now. I don't know how many more years we have left of DJ Moore, a guy that plays
Right.
his style. He's got the yak ability too. I mean, there's just so many things that work well with Josh Allen, but I think it's the improvisation downfield and the ability to work kind of the short area of the field that like really makes it appealing in this offense, because they're just lacking explosion from that position and have been for a long time.
Totally. I would agree. I wonder where you would have him. I know you haven't updated your ranks yet, Joe, but I did, and there's a little bit of a firewall where you kind of run up against like, okay, he's 29 years old. I can't get him any higher, but I guess I'll just ask, like,
Yeah, let's play the game. Let's play the game.
Yeah, because there's some that are like kind of easy, but like, okay, just here's a good one, right? Like Terry McLaurin or DJ Moore.
God, man, go right to my heart on this one. I'm gonna go
DJ Moore.
I'm gonna go DJ Moore this year too. There's a number of reasons why I'm really concerned about Washington. This is a topic for another show and another day, but Jayden Daniels is kind of giving me the icks with, the internet dunked all over him in the last week with the number 5 thing, right? There's the whole weirdness with his mom. Not to get too psychological, but it's like he's starting to get the stink on him a little bit. And that offense got a lot worse losing Tunsil. So I'm just worried about Washington as a whole, where those questions don't exist for me with a Josh Allen led team. So it's DJ Moore. And he's 2 years younger than Terry McLaurin. Different play style. I think McLaurin's game ages better than Moore's, but it's more this year for sure.
That was supposed to be the easy one, but they get harder.
Yeah. Okay. Go on.
Jameson Williams or DJ Moore?
I have DJ Moore 2 spots behind Jameson Williams.
Yeah. In Dynasty, I have to take Jameson Williams over DJ Moore.
It's close.
And it's not like, I don't know. This year's a toss-up between the two, but long-term, you got to take the younger guy.
By the way, Jameson Williams is right about where the firewall is. Here's another firewall player. Christian Watson or DJ Moore?
DJ Moore. Not close.
Brian Thomas Jr.
I think I'm Christian Watson on that one.
I love it. Brian Thomas Jr. or DJ Moore?
Hold on. Let's go back to the Christian Watson thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Why are you Christian Watson over DJ Moore? Like,
my rankings don't actually have that.
I was gonna say you don't actually have that.
He's a couple years younger, and I think that's a fucking close one, man. That's a really close one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
just excited about Christian Watson, so maybe there's a little recency bias in that.
Yeah. I'm excited about Christian Watson too.
Totally.
But he's, we still haven't seen him do it for a full season yet.
Nope.
We have seen Moore do it. We've seen Moore do it on bad teams. We've seen him do it on good teams. We saw him do it with Justin Fields for crying out loud.
3 spots ahead.
Yeah.
So I'll stick
it's one of those. It's one of those things where I think you got to be just looking at 2-year windows with ages like that. And I think the 2-year window with DJ Moore is about as good as anything. His 29 and 30-year-old seasons. What about Brian Thomas Jr. or DJ Moore?
BTJ.
Yeah, I think given what's going on with Brian Thomas Jr. in that offense, their head coach isn't going to change anytime soon. I don't think the scheme is going to change anytime soon. And I don't think Lawrence is going to magically learn how to drop the ball in the bucket for Brian Thomas to excel. So until Brian Thomas is on a different team, I don't think they're going to re-sign him the way things are looking. I think it's DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's right around wide receiver 30. And what about Parker Washington? Not close for you. This is DJ Moore by a lot, or?
Ooh, this answer could change as the season goes on because if I'm fading Brian Thomas, then I've got to probably be more bullish on Parker Washington. That being said, we haven't seen it from Parker Washington over the course of an entire season either. I'd say Parker Washington is actually kind of interesting because he's not as big, but he's kind of a similar player in some ways to DJ Moore. So I don't know. I think I would still, gun to my head right now, who would I rather have on my team for this season? I think it's DJ Moore, but that could look very dumb by week 4.
Yeah.
And then this one is interesting. I'll end with this conversation because this is pretty interesting to me. In deeper leagues, this would be the only time that this would really happen because in shallower leagues, you wouldn't give up any of the rookies for DJ Moore, right? Because you could just play Jacoby Myers or Parker Washington or a million other players you have. But in a 12-12, like I'm talking about, that's where DJ Moore is for sure a starter on every team. Nobody's not starting DJ Moore. So, he's a locked-in starter in those situations. Would you consider selling any of the rookies? And I in other words, obviously Stribling, would you sell Stribling for him? Would you sell Omar Cooper for him? Would you go up to Denzel
Omar
Boston?
Cooper, yes.
See what I'm saying?
Where
do you draw the line?
Concepcion is where I draw the line.
Concepcion, I'm not selling for DJ Moore.
Correct. I'm not selling him for DJ Moore.
Yeah.
Boston, it could be so different next year once they've got a quarterback situation figured out. But I think Boston, I would if I'm in win now mode in a deep league with start 12, and I'm getting 2 years out of DJ Moore versus Boston catching the ball from Deshaun Watson, who has trouble figuring out what a forward pass even looks like right now. It's DJ Moore.
What about Jordan Tyson?
I think it's Tyson still. That injury is fucking crazy, though.
It's pretty scary. It's
very scary.
But I think I can the value dictates that I can get more for Tyson than I can get for DJ Moore. Yeah. So I think for that reason it's Tyson.
Correct. That's right. While I'm here, my Casey Concepcion ranking might shock you a little bit, but I have him moved all the way up to wide receiver 25. and I have him back to back with Carnell Tate, and I am
Interesting.
considering swapping them. I mean,
I'm not there. I like it. I think that would jive with the profile of wide receivers that you are ranking above other profiles of wide receivers, right? So
Yes,
that
sir.
to me, that fits how you would rank them for sure. I don't hate it either. I have Concepcion at 32, and as I'm looking at it right now, I could probably have him up to as high as 28. So I'm pretty steamy on him as well. I got Carnell Tate as my 21. So 2-year windows, boys. 2-year windows. DJ Moore or AJ Brown.
Wait, hold on.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, you got to get back in on the other one.
This is too much to this is too juicy to pass up on, because
so red meat.
So at the time of this recording, week 1 of the preseason has happened and week 2 has not happened yet. We talked last week before seeing this preseason game about Alec Iomanor more or less being able to play X and being interchangeable with Carnell Tate. And that's kind of what we saw. He was playing X, and actually Tate was playing Z, which is not what we expected. What our fear was with Tate was that he was going to get pigeonholed into this X receiver role and end up being the sacrificial X. So I actually, despite the showing from the Tennessee Titans, got kind of a lot more bullish on Carnell Tate, and that's based on the development of Iomanor. Being able to now be that sacrificial X, allowing Tate to do more. So I don't think I'm quite ready for that yet. And this is kind of just a pedigree thing. I'm also going to go back to model scores, and I know why Concepcion's score was lower than it probably should have been. It's a fair conversation to have. I just don't want it to go unsaid that our assumptions about what Tate was going to be in the NFL may have changed. And now we need to take that into consideration. So unfortunately we were like the lowest on Tate. So it's not like there's this huge buying opportunity, right? Because everybody else was higher on Tate than we were. Trav, you're on mute.
Buddy. Speak for yourself. I was high on Tate.
The other thing that we have not seen is any evidence whatsoever at all that Cam Ward is any good. Like, we have no evidence. Like, there's a lot of hopium and a lot of film guy, trust me, bro.
You know what I have a lot of evidence on, though, is that Deshaun Watson is bad now and Shedeur Sanders is also bad. So you can't really use that argument in these two against each other.
Yeah, I sure can.
Both have new
because
quarterbacks.
If they suck, that's the question: is would Tennessee be willing to pull the plug on a 1.01? Right? We've seen it later on. Okay.
Absolutely, they would be. This is a new coaching staff. They didn't. Okay. This is not the regime that brought Ward in, right? So yeah, he could absolutely be on the outs if whatever. It's Will Levis is a different story because he wasn't a first round pick, but I mean,
wasn't 101 too. Right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. It's harder to get off the 101, but I'm just saying, that
you're gonna try.
They would have to do that.
It's easier now than it's ever been. Teams are pulling the plug on these guys early, so I don't think this is gonna happen to Ward, but I mean.
Maybe he'll be just mediocre enough to stick around.
We're not certain he's bad.
Yeah, I'm not buying a quarterback argument when we're comparing it to the Browns, right? That's where I call BS.
We'll see, man. We'll see. I mean, this story remains to be seen, and we're going to see it play out a little bit more. I'm not buying the Cleveland quarterback situation, but I am saying that, at the very least, the things that Casey Concepcion does is easier for a quarterback to get to. Those are a little bit easier buttons to press than the buttons Carnell Tate. What do you mean? No, I think
if Carnell Tate's playing the Z, then his targets become a lot easier, right?
He didn't look like he had any easy targets in game one. Now that's one
preseason
data point.
In a new offense,
absolutely.
Yada.
No, I'm not. Look, that's not what we're going to expect. Is 0 for 4, or whatever. It's not right. It's going to be just 78 targets, 0 catches. I don't think that's what we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, so, and Concepcion is traditionally the kind of guy and the profile of player that we like better than the Carnell Tates. I'm just saying, there's new information now on Tate that gives me pause, and I don't think I'm ready to make that shift because. Although things, Concepcion has answered a lot of questions already and looks very promising and, kind of checks the box in the profiles that we like more. Tate just got a lot more interesting too. So it's close. I'm okay with
I'm just actually
the ranks.
glad I don't have a lot of Tate, Lemon, and Tyson. I'm glad I traded out of there. I'm glad I got 27 firsts for them. And, I feel really good about having not made those picks as opposed to sinking in and just making a 102 on Tate.
So much lemon. I have 50% lemon.
Are you that?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't get much
Like
Lemon
30,
or Tyson,
20, 30. Yeah.
but I got lots of Tate, and I'm still happy about Tate. I think
I was just repeatedly trading back to the 105 and getting lemon every time, right? And I got some Concepcion, I got some of all of them, but I've got a lot of lemon, and I really need that hamstring to get well soon.
Speaking of these wide receivers, it is looking terrible for Omar Cooper, like the rookie wide receivers we're talking about. Yeah. I know we were talking about the Buffalo Bills, but we're here now.
Yeah.
Omar Cooper signals are fucking terrible. And see some clips. There's one that I think Josh Norris posted today of him running drills and just pointing out the way he moves compared to Garrett Wilson. And not only does he move terribly, he drops a very easy target. It was hard to see. For somebody who we thought, Jax, you were talking about like those 109s and those 110s where you were able to get some Omar Cooper, and that's where we were hoping some of that value was going to come out of him. He's not dead. He was still a first round pick. He's still got a lot of, growth to do. And on a team that could use secondary targets. And so he's not
it's
dead.
Not looking good so far. No, that's what I'm saying. None of these wide receivers. I mean, ironically, it's the Cleveland wide receivers that look the best out of all of them in Stribling.
Stribling is looking insane. Like he's good. He's probably going to be ranked as my wide receiver 1 for the 2026 season among the rookies.
I ignored the model too much there because the model actually really likes Stribling. So another sort of hit by the model, I guess.
Yeah.
So good.
Yep. Shout out. Okay, boys, finishing off the Bills here. Josh Allen's value, like is this another? It's kind of a theme of the show, actually, talking about like Chase and Puka and stuff, like talking about selling at that apex. I don't think we've seen signs of like a downturn from Josh Allen by any means. The where I'm coming at this from, boys, is I think on a team that's contending with Josh Allen, you can trade Josh Allen, and the quarterback that you get back can keep you as a contender as well as give you a plus, right? Like I think you can stay a contender if you trade away Josh Allen and get one of these younger quarterbacks. Like you could get Josh Allen, or you could get Jackson Dart plus, you could get Bo Nix plus probably for Josh Allen, right? And I wonder how viable you guys think that is as far as maybe cashing in on some of that value and staying strong as a team.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Joe. Yeah,
I did this last year in the Underground League where I drafted Josh Allen at the 101, if I'm not mistaken, and I had some injuries, and my team was pretty good, but I needed to start talking about these deep leagues where it just makes sense to move an elite asset to go tier down, and I think I ended up getting like, I don't know, Dak Prescott and a running back and a wide receiver and a pick. Like, so it's just like in instances like that where it's an emergency and you need to sort of stay competitive and, whatever. I ended up finishing third, could have very easily won the championship if I just traded for Chase Brown. Not that that haunts me or anything. Like, yes, everybody is movable. That being said, I don't want to understate this. Like, Josh Allen has been a top 2 quarterback for the last 5 years, 6 years, right? He's finished 1 or 2. I mean, his consistency has now eclipsed the statue that we had Patrick Mahomes at. I would also say there was another really interesting stat that I was reading about Josh Allen. I think he has already in his career more 30-point games than any fantasy quarterback ever. Right. So we're not just talking about like the best quarterback from a fantasy standpoint of a generation. We're talking about like he's legitimately like he's the LaDainian Tomlinson of quarterback for fantasy football, and still very much in his prime and just got a shiny new weapon. So I don't know. Just when you're trading Josh Allen, when you're thinking about trading Josh Allen, just keep that in mind. Like having him, you're basically halfway to the playoffs just by having Josh Allen in a super flex league.
That's right. A good way to put it.
No, it's true. He dragged a mediocre team of mine to the playoffs last year, and he's one of those guys that he can spearhead a rebuild, but I wouldn't just sell him in a vacuum to gain value. I would want to make sure it's part of a waterfall, right? That there's other things that are happening that you're really going to just retool this team entirely, and not just sort of be like, I'll sell him and pick up an extra. That doesn't sound like a good plan. Because as Joe points out, he's a queen chess piece in fantasy. And I think that he will be for a while. I know Keegan was talking earlier pre-shows, we were hanging out. He's like, it's really hard to take a 30-year-old quarterback with a 101. But that's how good he is. And so, I think there's probably a little bit of attrition coming, but it might not be for 3 or 4 years. I mean, this guy could get to 33, 34 and still be putting this up. So, could it happen sooner? Of course, man. The clock's ticking for all of us, but I would be confident hanging on to him, especially on competitive teams, and only trading him to start a waterfall of rebuild where everything is sort of, revolving around that move.
Here was the haul I got for Josh Allen. I just pulled it up. This was in the Underground League. I traded Josh Allen and Tez Johnson away to our boy Marcus. I got back Dak Prescott and Joe Milton. I got Lad McConkey. I got Ramondre Stevenson. I got a 26 first, which ended up being the 112, which I thereafter traded away. And I got a 27 second. So a first, a second, Dak, Lad, and Ramondre. So it was a good haul, and not only that, it was guys I could start, right? I could start Ramondre down the stretch. I could start Lad down the stretch, basically for the entirety of the season. He had a relatively disappointing season last year, but that was a long-term asset. So that's the kind of haul you need to get, and multiple picks on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I like it, boys. I like it. That would be a wrap. Another fun show of Dynasty Underground. Of course, make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. Check us out on your audio platforms. And check out otcffb.com, the sickest website in the landscape.
By the way, it was so easy for me to pull up that trade just now. I literally just opened otcffb.com. I pulled up our league. I searched my completed trades, and I just plugged in Josh Allen all seasons, and it came up immediately. Like I did that.
Well said.
I did that in 2 minutes while Jax was talking.
By the way, and it didn't do the thing where it took forever to load the league. Did it do that?
No, it didn't glitch at all.
What?
I didn't have to restart the app just looking for it. It was incredible.
Jesus.
Wow. Incredible website. Incredible website you guys got there. Yeah, so fun show, boys. We are getting closer to the beginning of the season, and we couldn't be more excited. So thanks for sticking around with us. There's lots more to come. For Jax Falcone, for Joe Quavius Kuvatakis, I am Trav, and we'll see you next week. Peace.